Okay. All right. So the words of the Master. This week we are looking at Yeshua stills the storm. Yeshua stills the storm. Not still as in take without permission, but still as in calm. Right? So the verses that are associated with this particular situation are Matthew chapter 8, verse 18 and 23 through 27, Mark 4, 35 through 41, and Luke 8, 22 through 25. We are going to read the portions from Matthew. So let's go to Matthew chapter 8, read verse 18, and then drop down to 23 and read through 27.
Matthew 8 and 18. And when Yeshua saw large crowds about him, he gave a command to go off to the other side. Verse 23. And when he entered into a boat, his taught ones followed him. And see, a great gale arose on the sea, so that the boat was covered by the waves. But he was sleeping. And his taught ones came to him and woke him up, saying, Master, save us, we are perishing. And he said to them, Why are you afraid, O you of little belief? Then, having risen, he rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a great calm. And the men marveled, saying, What is this, that even the winds and the sea obey him?
Okay, very good. Let's read the thing from Mark. Let's add Mark to that too. Mark 4:35 through 41.
Mark 4:35. And on the same day, when the evening had come, he said to them, Let us pass over to the other side. And having left the crowd, they took him along in the boat as he was. And other little boats were also with him. And there came a great windstorm, and the waves beat into the boat, so that it was already being filled. And he was in the stern, asleep on a cushion, and they woke him up and said to him, Teacher, it is no concern to you that we perish? And having been awakened, he rebuked the wind said to the sea, Peace, be still. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. And he said to them, Why are you so afraid? Have you not yet belief? And they feared exceedingly and asked each other, Who then is this that even the wind and the sea obey him?
Okay, very good. So let's go back to Matthew. Let's go back to Matthew and consider a few things here. Okay, I think first of all, it's interesting to note that when we look at various things, you know, I at one time thought about the fact that there weren't many places where we're able to witness Yeshua in his humanity. He always looks like a superhero. Like he does all these things that are just so fantastical. You forget that he is, you know, when we look at him in his life in the Gospels, he's a man. And so when we look over here, it's interesting to see that there is humanity shown by Messiah here. He's always dealing with the people and serving the people. His whole life involves dealing with serving the people. Here, he's escaping from the people. He don't want to be where the people are right now. Right? These crowds, these large crowds are about him. He saw the people and he was like, man, we got to get out of here. Yeshua needed a break from these people. In his body, he's tired. In his body. The people, all they want to do is take and take and take. And Yeshua, all he does for these people is give and give and give. And so in his body, he's tired. And so he says to the people, to his disciples, he commands them, we got to go to the other side. Remember, he's already on the boat from last week. You know, he got up on the boat and was talking to the people from the boat. And since he's there, he's like, man, we got to get out of here. And so it's interesting when you think about, some of these commentators are interesting when they see here in verse 18 where it says he gave a command to go off to the other side. I don't understand. Some of them talk about the fact that he's commanding the people, like the other people. But, he's obviously commanding his disciples to go. He's getting away from the masses. He's commanding his disciples to get him away. So, when you think about, there's other places that we haven't gotten to where, people they come, because as Yeshua lives and does all these things, it becomes dangerous for him. There's a plan, and he's got to do things according to that plan. And, people try to come and capture him when he's still got more stuff to do. And so there's times where he just kind of people looking around like, where'd he go? Like he just disappears himself. But here, it's as if he's so tired. He's like, man, y'all get me out of here. Like he needed for them to get these things together and take him to the other side. And so when you think about what's going on here, Yeshua, he needed some time for himself. Like there's crowds of people there. I'm sure not all of the people were there for the show, because remember now, some people was just there for the show. Because that was the whole reason why he talked about using parables in the first place. The parables really are used to partially confuse the people. If you don't have a heart and a desire to know what it is that the Messiah was speaking about, you wasn't going to know. But if you did have a desire, you took extra steps to draw nigh unto him. But you have to think about the fact that probably the majority of these people was just there to see the spectacle that was Yeshua. And so, he needed some time for himself as a man. He had grown weary. He had worked all of that time doing all of the things that he was doing. He needed a time of refreshing for his body. For his body. And so when we look at this telling of the story, when the storm comes, it's a pretty bad storm. Right? Let's look down at verse 20. Where's our word at? 24. What's that word there? Gale. What's it say in the King James 24? And see a great gale came across the.
And behold, there was a great tempest.
A great tempest. So what's the word? Is the word tempest? Yeah, look that word up, tempest. G4578. Seismos. A seismograph is the thing that measures earthquakes. Seismograph. Right, that word seismos in the Greek. A commotion that is of the air. Gale. I remember when it was back in the 90s. It was back in the 90s. I was hanging out with some of my friends. We decided we was gonna go to the other side of town. We live on the south side of town. We was gonna go to Simmy's, which is on the east side of town. Huh? Yes, somebody had a car, we drove it. I didn't have a car. I didn't have a car until I was an adult, but I always had friends there. So we go to Simmy's, we go over there and we get our little fish sandwiches and greens and macaroni and cheeses and things. We did all that we did. We come back and there's trees all over the place. There's like branches and things. Like it looks like crazy, like a storm. But for us, we was on the other side of town. It was like we didn't even know.
Mm-hmm.
And so while we was gone, there was like what they ended up calling I don't think they call it a hurricane. I mean a tornado. They didn't call it a full-blown tornado, but whatever's like right down from that happened on our side of town. A great windstorm happened over there. Trees and stuff everywhere, power gone and all of this. There was these whirlwinds, these tempests that happened while we was gone. A great storm happened. And so when we look at what went on in the sea that they were in, it was a great tempest, great currents of wind, like microbursts. Remember they had the microbursts out Kennywood, and like somebody died out there in Kennywood on the whip or whatever that was from microbursts.
I knew that person anyway.
You knew that person?
Her family.
Oh, that's crazy. All right, so they're having this. So I'm saying all that just to say, when these things happen, it's like a big deal. Like it's not just like a little bit of wind. Like it's like a serious amounts of wind. And so apparently on the Sea of Galilee, the way that it's situated, there's times of year, just like how, when you live kind of in the, around the Caribbean places and, in the Atlantic and places where hurricanes happen. Those things happen because of the temperature and all of these things, become just perfect for these things to happen. And so apparently in the Sea of Galilee, the way that it's situated, there's times of year where it's like microburst season. Like there's times when it's safe to cross the Sea of Galilee, and there's time when it isn't because of these things that tend to sometimes happen. And so when we think about this Sea of Galilee, which by the way, across is like 6 miles. It's like about 6 miles across, which isn't very much. But like the Mon River is like 280 feet across. And so it's about 18 Monongahela rivers, like if they was like side by side going across the Sea of Galilee, which is kind of a lot. Like 6 miles is like from my house probably somewhere in the north side somewhere. If you think about just going straight. So it's not that big as far as waters are concerned. Like I was thinking, like how far was it from when we went from Long Island to Catalina? How far do you think that was? How far do you think that was?
Long Island.
How far do you think that trip was?
Was that was,
I mean, Long Beach.
Long.
Long Beach. How far do you,
That's the other side of the country.
Long Beach, not Long Island, Long Beach to Catalina. How far do you think that was? Just guesstimation. Now, if you gotta look at your phone, it's not a guesstimation. It was 23 miles. It was 23 miles. Yes, it was 23 miles. So what did it take us, like an hour to do that? It seemed like it was a long journey. But this is only 6 miles, so it's not that far, but it's kind of far. And we have motorized boats.
That's what I was supposed to say.
We have motorized boats too. So I feel like it was kind of like for us, that 23-mile journey is probably like whatever their journey was to go from the one side of the Sea of Galilee to the other. And so, saying all that just to say they're in the middle of this water. These storms are coming. It talks about the water was in the boat with them. The water got in the boat. It said, Mark 37, that it was already filled. The water, the waves are beating down on the boat, and it was filled up with water. And by the way, Yeshua sleep through all of this. Knocked out.
It was comfortable.
He had his pillow.
I love storms too, yeah.
He said he had his pillow. I don't know what a stern is, but he was up in that stern with his pillow, and he was chilling hard.
Yeah.
Out.
Sleep. They scared, he's sleeping, chilling.
Now he's but again, he's resting his body. His body, he's so tired that he sleeps through the storm. Right? He sleeps through the storm. And so the question that I have here is, now he has access, Yeshua does, he has access to omniscience. Right? All knowing. But it seems like maybe he's not always using that. Because either he knew that this storm was coming, or he didn't know that it was coming, or he did know and didn't care that it was coming. One of those three things I
Why
would
did
say.
he was asleep on a pillow?
Because he got comfortable. He had every intention on sleeping the whole ride.
Because he could have just been just sitting down on the floor
He
somewhere.
could no, but he needed to rest. He needed to rest. I think it's important to understand that his body needed to rest. I think this is why they're telling us. And he was just so comfortable, he couldn't care less about what was going on. But I'm saying that seeing how he has access to omniscience, he either knew that this storm was coming, he didn't know that it was coming, or he knew that it was coming and he didn't care that it was coming.
I think it was just another way for him to strengthen the faith of his disciples. It was like, you know, another sign in their presence. So they could be like, oh my goodness, like, he just told the storm to chill, and it just chilled. So I think it was for the disciples. Like, he, you know.
So you say that he knew that it was coming, but he didn't care.
Yeah, he knew it was coming. He knew they was going to lack faith, and this was just something to strengthen their faith.
Yeah. So it was you saying it was a teaching tool.
Yes.
It was dual purpose. He needed to rest, and while I'm resting, as the master teacher that he is, you're gonna learn a lesson. Every moment is a teachable moment to Messiah, even when he's sleeping. Right? Which now begs the question. Let's go to James. Let's go to James 1:12 through 16. Because he did something. Now, if we want to agree with Elder Christian over here and say that he knew what was going to happen, and he led them into this storm, knowing that it was a gale force winds coming. What does it say in James 1:12 through 16?
It says, "Blessed is the man who does endure trial, for when he has been proved, he shall receive the crown of life which the Master has promised to those who love him. Let no one say when he is enticed, I am enticed by Elohim, for Elohim is not enticed by evil matters, and he entices no one. But each one is enticed when he is drawn away by his own desires and trapped. Then, when desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin, and sin, when it has been accomplished, brings forth death. Do not go astray, my beloved brother."
Okay, very good. So let's look at a few things here. Let's look at verse 12. Blessed is the man who endures. Endures. What's that word there? Endures. Is that 5278? To remain. To remain under. Here, look at the word study.
Word study. Remain under.
Yeah, to persevere, endure, sustain, bear up under, suffer as a load of miseries, adversities. So who endures, who remains under, who suffers temptation. What's that word? Temptation. Huh? You could just put that on the Strong's there. To test. That is, endeavor, scrutinize, entice, discipline. And so even when we look at right here, we looked at just these definitions here, right? Endeavor, if I'm on an endeavor, there's some curiosity involved. It seems to me the way I think about the word endeavor. If I'm going on an endeavor, there's some curiosity involved. I don't know quite what's over there. It's almost like some type of journey that I'm on. And there's things unknown that I'm dealing with. Scrutinize, I'm looking at things, I'm questioning things. There's also kind of curiosities. I'm testing the water, seeing what works, what doesn't work. Scrutinize. Entice, though, seems different a little bit. If I'm enticing you, I'm trying to get someone. See, when I think about enticing, I think about someone luring me into something that I should be doing. It's trying to pull me away from something enticing me. But is that synonymous with disciplining though? Because these are all words that it's giving me, but these words aren't always synonymous with one another. But I think you're able to understand what the similarities might be, because if we're talking about discipline or scrutinizing, these things can both involve what the word literally means there. To test is there's things that are placed in front of you which present a challenge. They're not meant to hurt or harm you, but they are meant to know what your strengths are and to increase your strengths. I remember back in my high school football days, we had in the back of our school this huge hill that was back there behind the football field. And we would do our little drills. And whenever the coach, we would all line up and the coach would blow the whistle, you had to clap and then do whatever drill that you were supposed to do. And so when the coach blew the whistle, everybody had to clap, and the whole, like, there was various lines, and you was lined up maybe 5 people, and he would blow the whistle, everybody had to clap, and then the person in front of the line would go and do the drill. If one person in your line don't clap, then the whole line had to run up this big hill. Like, this hill was so steep, you can't run. If you ran down the hill, you would probably fall. Like, it's so steep. I don't know if Ebony know about that hill back there. Maybe her sports team didn't get back there. But this hill was a serious hill. It was very steep. Like, if you're walking up, if you're walking up a hill, like, you're leaning so much forward walking up the hill that you could just reach your hand out a little bit and touch the ground. It's so steep. So everybody had to run up the hill. It was torture. But the coach wasn't trying to kill us, even though it felt like it. He built up our endurance by doing this. We made mistakes. We weren't working as a team. We didn't have no care for our teammates, because whenever he blew the whistle, we all knew that if we didn't clap, that was going to happen. And so there were consequences for our actions. We had to go through this seemingly torturous ordeal. He was disciplining us. Right? He wasn't enticing us. He wasn't harming us. The thing that we was doing was causing us to be strong. But it's interesting when we look at these verses over here in James, the same word is used, whether it's talking about what the Most High will do and what he won't do. Because what he won't do is, and 13 says over there, Elohim can't be tempted with evil, neither tempts any man. But you probably there could put in parentheses with evil. Because whatever the word, what's the word? Hupomino. He gonna hupomino you. But he not gonna hupomino you for evil though. Yeah. The Most High tempts us, but he don't tempt us with evil. That's the point.
That's on you.
Yeah.
The evil's on you.
He's not going to tempt you with evil, because that's not his MO. But he does tempt you. Look at this, go to Deuteronomy. He puts you through trials. He puts you through tribulation on purpose. Deuteronomy 8,
Where you at?
1 through 6.
Deuteronomy 8. Guard to do every command which I command you today, that you might live and shall increase and go in and shall possess the land which Yahweh swore to your fathers. And you shall remember that Yahweh your Elohim led you all the way these 40 years in the wilderness to humble you, prove you, to know what is in your heart, whether you guard his commands or not.
All right, hold on a second. So he took Israel and led them into the wilderness. In the wilderness, there was so many things that went on in the wilderness that caused the people to be like, I don't even want to go where the Most High is taking me because of the situations that's going on in the wilderness. That the Most High led the people, it said that you shall remember that your Elohim led you all the way to 40 years in the wilderness. He caused them to not have regular food. He caused them to not have water be available to them all the time. He caused for situations to happen that caused the people to question leadership. He allowed for these situations to happen. He allowed for the people to experience these hardships for a purpose, though. For a purpose. Okay, keep on going. You start off at verse 3.
And he humbled you and let you suffer hunger and fed you with manna, which you did not know, nor did your fathers know, to make you know that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God. Your garments did not wear out on you, nor did your foot swell these 40 years. Thus you shall know in your heart that as a man disciplines his son, so Yahweh Elohim disciplines you. Therefore you shall guard his the commands of Yahweh Elohim, to walk in his ways and to fear him.
Okay, very good. So we see that the Most High then, it says, humbled the people. He humbled the people. He caused them to be hungry. But he also preserved the people, though.
Yep.
He caused them to be able to walk through the wilderness for 40 years, and their clothes didn't wear out, and their feet didn't swell up from walking on shoes that didn't even have no rubber soles on them.
Right.
When they start coming out with rubber soles, I don't even know. But these people didn't have none, and their feet didn't even swell up.
They had natural shoes. All natural.
Man, I wore some leather shoes with some thin soles before. Them things ain't lasted no 40 years, man. That's miraculous.
Right.
That's some miraculous preservation right there.
Yeah.
But the Most High provided for the people as he was putting them in these and causing them to experience these hardships for their own good. And so when we think about Yeshua, if we go back to Matthew, if we think about Yeshua, what he does over here, he's tired, he needs some rest, he needs to go sleep, but at the same time, he's going to teach his disciples, y'all need to know some things about who I am while I'm asleep. He was really knocked out. Can you imagine? Like, thunder and lightning wake me up out of my sleep. If it rains like super hard and you hear it beating down on the windows, that wakes me up. But the winds and all of that, the water filling up, he slept through all of that. But the disciples, they out there like, save us. We're perishing. We're dying. We out here about to die. You don't even care. Don't you even care that we about to perish out here? Like they don't got no thoughts about the most Messiah and what he's doing over here. But he's teaching them. He's teaching the people that when you see me, he didn't say this yet, but he's going to say it later. But he's teaching them when you see me, you see the Father. The confidence that you have in the Father, you should have that in me. He's teaching them that when you with me, you good. But they didn't know it yet. They didn't know it yet. Because if they did, obviously, they wouldn't have those thoughts. Right? They would have known. They're learning it. Right? But Yeshua wakes up like, what's wrong with you? Like, what you scared of? Like, I'm sitting here right here with you. But I'm just wondering, like, what, up to this point, I guess when we think about it, just like how when Nick comes and says, because of the things that you've done, he was able to figure out that he was, in fact, from Elohim. And so these people who was closest to him, although again, he didn't come out and say at this point, they should have been able to look and see the works of Messiah and know that there's no way that he's able to do the things that he does. I mean, bare minimum that he's of Elohim. And then it seems as if Yeshua expected for them to have a greater faith and knowledge of who he was based on the way that he speaks to them. He said, "Oh, you of little faith, little belief." What's that word there in verse 26? Is that pistis?
Faith. Yeah, a little business.
Little, you have little confidence. What's that word? Let me click on that.
It's incredulous. That is
Hold on,
lacking
keep clicking on that.
confidence, of little faith.
Oh yeah, this is way back now.
So they didn't have any confidence in Yeshua in the situation. But again, this is a situation that Yeshua literally leads them into. Right? This was his idea. Take me across the sea. Meanwhile, a storm is coming.
And in general, if this a tempest like a hurricane, you gonna be scared. Like especially when they didn't have no Freightliner boats, no.
Yes. Yes.
So even still, it's like him, like saying like, why are you afraid? That's even deep in itself because it's like the average person who work on the sea that happens to them. But you batten down the hatches and you know it's because people yeah. Because people die. People, you look at what happens in the sea, like you could die.
Yeah.
And so they didn't really understand who was with him.
Yeah.
For him to be so calm in it, be like, come on now. I just think that's deep. Like, why are you afraid? I'm like, well, he should know why he know why they're afraid. Mm-hmm. But they don't understand why they shouldn't be afraid.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And so when you think about what Yeshua here is doing in this teachable moment. He tries to bring about things that we see are connected with what we receive through the Spirit. And we know that, when Yeshua with his disciples, when he sends his disciples out, he endows his disciples with power, right? Look over at Galatians 5, 22 through 25. Galatians 5, 22 through 25.
But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, trustworthiness, gentleness, self-control. Against such there is no Torah. And those who are of Messiah have impelled the flesh with its passions and the desires. If we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit.
Okay, very good. So when you look at some of these things, long suffering, temperance, right? When you think about the thing that the Spirit offers for us, it helps us to be able to go through situations long suffering. It's the ability to suffer long. Right? Patience. To be able to have patience. Be able to wait for long periods of time and have a particular attitude about yourself as you're waiting. Because anybody can wait, really. Anybody can wait, but that's not patience. Right? What is the condition of your mind as you're waiting? Right? Anybody can suffer for a long time. But what is the condition of your mind as you're suffering? And so these are things that go along with our relationship with Messiah. These are byproducts of the relationship that we have with Messiah. And so Yeshua here with the people that were his top ones, his disciples, where he was requiring of them to exhibit some of these things as they were going through these hardships that they were experiencing. He is looking for them to actually be able to trust in him as they're going through these situations. And so he says to them, he questions, why are you afraid? He questions them, what are you afraid of? And then he chastises them, you of little faith. And so when he does this, now, if they didn't already know who he was, he's doing something clear in their viewing to cause them to understand to a greater level who he was by rebuking the winds and the sea. I mean, I don't care what these people come up with their technologies and, changing the weather with machines is one thing, but speaking to it is a whole other situation. Like, it's science. It's all science. If I can make this cloud, if I can cool it down by putting these machines there that change the temperature, adding heat or or taking away heat or energy or whatever, I can scientifically do that. But I can put stuff in the clouds and manipulate things scientifically with machines. But that's not godly. That's not supreme power. Because Yeshua just spoke to the things and manipulated molecules with his lips and his mouth. That's different. There's no science involved in that. It's miraculous, right? And so when they see this, what is this? Even the winds and the sea obey him. Right? They got some revelation that they never had seen before. And so the question becomes, then now, don't we get that same thing? Like he's doing it for them at that time, but we can see that he did it too. And either we believe that he did it or we don't believe it. And so he's teaching them this lesson about who he is. They're able to see his physicalness, he was tired. As a man, his physical body was tired. But when he got up, he spoke to the wind, and the wind obeyed him. He spoke to the experience and the hardship and the situation that was going on, and he stilled the storm. And so we have to be able to understand who Yeshua is. He wants for us to understand who he is. He wants us to understand and know that he is going to take us into situations that are scary. That we're going to be in a situation and it's going to seem like we're going to die. But we're not really going to die. It's just going to seem like we're going to die. And so it's necessary for us to be able to trust in Messiah at all times if he really is with you, and not lose faith and lose heart because of the situations that we are in, because of the things that we encounter. Because he, in fact, has power over all of these situations, no matter what they may be. And he's taking us through the situations anyway. Right? When you think about the state of those that are filled with the Ruach HaKodesh, you're going around and Messiah is in you and with you, just like these disciples were. And so there is no difference when the Master causes for us to go and do this and to do that, and then in the midst of that thing, there's great adversity. We can't allow for that adversity to cause us to say, man, I'm not doing this. I'm turning around. I'm going back the other way. It's too scary over there. He wants for us to be able to move forward in the things that he has sent us to do in confidence that he's going to bring us to the other side. He said, let's go to the other side. He didn't say, let's go and die in the middle. Yeah. There's no difference between this journey that they went on and what Israel did when they left Egypt. Israel didn't leave Egypt to go to the wilderness or to go back to Egypt. They left Egypt to get to the other side. He said, take me over to the other side. He said he gave a command to go off to the other side. So that's where they was going. So they should have been able to know that this thing that they was going through was a little part of the process. And so, likewise, when we go through these situations and we face these hardships and experiences, we can't be like these disciples and give up and quit. Save us. We're perishing. They thought they was ready to. Meanwhile, the master was right there with them. As a matter of fact, he's the one that brought them there in the first place. What does it say in 1 Corinthians 10 and 13?
Says, no trial has overtaken you except as a common to man, and Elohim is trustworthy, who shall not allow you to be tried beyond what you are able, but the trial shall also make the way of escape, enabling you to bear it.
What's that word for trial there, I wonder? Is that 3984?
3986?
Oh, it's 3986?
Yeah.
I wonder, is it connected to, click on it, is it connected to the word or no?
From 3985.
Okay, word. So it's the same,
Yeah, it goes there.
idea.
And then 3984.
Yes, very good. So, he's not going to cause you to be in a situation that he hasn't also provided a way of escape for you to be in. And so when we think about our life in Messiah, we have to remember these things. He's given us these lessons. He did it first with the disciples so that we could see it too. Now, all these years later, to cause us to know that he's going to make a way for us if we continue to trust in him. He's literally, he's kind of upset with his disciples because he has kind of a greater expectation for them. Again, this is probably, I guess when you think about it, raising people from the dead is pretty amazing. Causing people that are blind, that been blind their whole life, causing them to see is kind of a big deal. But this is kind of a big deal too. And so, being that they were there when he had done all of these things, he kind of expects and when you think about it, when you look at the life of the disciples, for the majority of them, it really takes for him to live his whole life and die and raise from the dead for him to really grasp everything. But still, there's a level of expectation that he has for these disciples of his, and it's evident where, we see the way that he responds. And so, we think about then how much more so us when the time when they're able to get what Messiah actually has for them to get is when after they receive the Spirit which we receive. And so whatever expectation it is that he has for his disciples, I would think that same expectation is, expected of us who have the seed, the earnest of the Spirit on the inside of us. That we're able to have a greater trust and reliance in Messiah and all the things that he makes available to us at every moment. In the good times and especially in the hard times. Okay, so does anybody have any thoughts, questions, or comments about any of those things there?
I was, whenever we were talking about it, I was just thinking about like the turbulence on the airplane.
Oh my
And,
goodness.
Wow.
I mean, I tell you what. First of all, I don't like flying. I hate flying. It doesn't make any sense. It's almost magical. It don't make any sense for this big old heavy metal thing to be in the air. I mean, birds at least flap their wings. You know what I mean? I mean, huh? And their lights. They got little hollow bones. But you're in this big old metal thing. It don't make sense to be in the air. And then let alone that, be in the air and these metal wings are flapping. When we was on our way to the Dominican Republic, it was so turbulent that the wings of the plane were flapping. The turbulence was causing the wings to go up and down.
This is like a bird. It kind of piece.
Oh my goodness.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't want my plane to act like a bird.
Why not? It gotta fly.
Like I'm taking a video of this, and you can't even tell from the video, but in real life, the plane was shaking so much that I couldn't keep my hand steady. You can't tell in the video because of Apple's whatever, there's stabilization thing fixes it. But I'm taking this video and I can't keep my hand still to videotape the plane flying. But I mean, I knew that, I trusted in the Most High. I wasn't like, about to pass out from fear. But it was an interesting situation. And so I can understand the idea of going through a situation and it being kind of a dire situation, seemingly. But at the same time, it's necessary for you to be able to trust in the Most High. It's so interesting that he has us to be in these situations. This is how he teaches us the things, the situations that you lack in. The only way that you're able to learn those things is to actually go have the thing happen to you.
Yeah.
If you're somebody who lacks faith, the only way to grow in faith is to go in a situation where you have to exercise it. If you're someone who lacks patience, the only way to exercise your patience is to go through a situation where patience is necessary.
Yep.
And so you can't learn how to have a particular thing to exhibit these different characteristics unless you need to actually have the characteristics. You can't learn how to trust in the Most High and you're having a peaceful situation. Like it don't,
Everything's good.
if everything's good,
All the time,
you
yeah.
can't learn how to deal when everything ain't good.
Exactly.
You got to be going through some bad things in order to know how to behave during the bad thing.
Exactly.
And so Messiah needed to have his disciples go through this thing, and you know, because Messiah is working on a clock.
Yeah.
He knows that there's going to be a time when he can't be there to hold these people's hand anymore. So he got to have these people be ready for when he's not there. And so he has to put them through the fire. And so we got to go through the fire too and be able to trust in the power that he puts inside of us so that we're able to use the power that he puts inside of us
Yep.
in this world.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that being said, I guess we will be done for now. Y'all willing? We'll be back on next Shabbat to talk about more of things that Yeshua has done and the words that he spoke. Okay? All right. So, say Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
We have